Ken?
PVC.
PVC. So you're
Pipes,
talking,
you mean?
I think, about BPA, the chemical that's.
Polyvinyl chloride. PVC.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Some of the manufactured plastics can have synthetics in them that are harmful. Yes, absolutely.
PVC in itself is not harmful. It's the manufacturing process that makes PVC have a bad name.
Right.
But supposedly, if you leave your beverage of any kind in plastic and it gets warm, it releases that, right?
Right. So leaving bottles of water in your car, the actual chemical components of the plastic can leach out into the water. That's totally true. Insecticides, pesticides, insecticides, lots of different chemicals of that type. Yeah, absolutely. Good examples.
Yeah.
Good examples. The primary one for water bottles that you're thinking of is a thing called BPA, and that's biphenyl A. I'll talk a little bit about that one.
Yeah,
Joyce?
I just heard on the news that there's formaldehyde in rice.
No,
rice.
it's arsenic. I was
Or is
just
it
going to say
arsenic?
that.
Sorry.
I got an email
Arsenic.
about arsenic and rice.
That's right, arsenic.
Well,
Thank you.
arsenic is literally a poison.
Yeah.
Well, they say it's naturally occurring in the soil, but now the quantity of it that they're finding from the pesticides, and I guess I don't know how else it's getting into the soil, but
Right.
And
now
that's
it's
brown,
dangerous.
too.
And
Brown
arsenic is
everything.
one of those things that accumulates. So
Yeah.
it's a cumulative effect. If you get a little bit of arsenic, it's not going to kill you, but little bits and little bits and little bits and little
Make you really
bits,
sick.
it forms into the fat cells of your body, actually, along with a lot of other toxins accumulate in your fat.
Like mercury.
Like mercury. Yeah, exactly. So those are all good examples. I'm going to talk about a couple of those.
Can you talk about GMO?
Yeah, genetically modified fruits, vegetables, etc. That's not one of the ones that I'm specifically going to talk about today, but that's big on our ballot. I'm glad that you're a supporter of that. We have in San Jose we have a woman who's one of the volunteers with that with the 37. Awesome, very good. There's some dangers there as well. The first one that I'm going to talk about though is formaldehyde, and most people have no idea how commonly used formaldehyde is used as a preservative in your common household products. Skincare products, personal care products, cleaning products. It's also pretty heavily present, less so now because of legislation in California, but in construction materials and furnitures, also as a preservative. All of that stuff, especially the stuff you directly apply to your body, that can have an impact on your health, because formaldehyde is known to cause respiratory difficulties, possibly chronic asthma type symptoms, and in really severe doses it can cause pulmonary edemas and even death, and absolutely minor things like eye and skin irritation, right? So got a couple of examples here of different types of things that it's in. It's in some makeups, it's in some skincare stuff. One of the recent news articles from California, actually from San Francisco, they did a little bit of a sting operation on some nail salons, and they did testing on several brands of nail polish that were actually labeled toxin-free, and they found toluene, formaldehyde, phthalates. Those are what they call the toxic trio for cosmetics. In stuff that was literally labeled toxic-free, non-toxic. So you got to be careful about what's out there. One of the reasons that you need to be careful is that they have this concept called a trade name. And it's not just for formaldehyde that this is true. Chemical compounds are often slightly reformulated or not reformulated at all, and then branded with a different name. And this is a list of several, not all, but several of the trade names under which formaldehyde is listed on your products, right? So you might look at your shampoo and say, oh, no formaldehyde. You're probably wrong, because it's probably one of these things. My favorite is Quaternium 15. It sounds like something from the future, right? But there's Lysoform and methylaldehyde and morbicid. You guys know what formaldehyde is most famous for, right? Embalming
Yeah.
people when they pass. I'd prefer to wait to get my dose until then, frankly.
Yeah.
One of the next things that I'm going to talk about, this is commonly found in almost every household anywhere, and that's chlorine bleach. People use it for disinfecting. They use it for laundry brightening and whitening, and for hair color removal, skin tone changes, all kinds of different things they use it for. Unfortunately,
Teeth whitening.
Skin tone.
teeth whitening. There's actually
Skin.
small amounts of bleach in some of the acne products out there, which is crazy. Just applying that directly to your face. Anyway, some of the risks and side effects of chlorine bleach: with repeated exposure, you can get immune system problems, heart and respiratory system problems, blood issues. Mixing it with certain other cleaning compounds can produce a toxic gas, which can be fatal or poisoning. And it does direct damage to your skin, can cause blindness if you get it into your eyes, and it damages surfaces and fabrics when you apply it to it. So it's a pretty awful kind of a thing, but it's so commonly used because people are used to doing it, and they don't think about it, and they just want to get the job done. Next on my list is ammonia. And this is in a lot of different cleaning products, specifically glass cleaners. This is very common in, and it's also famous for being in that, pink slime debacle from the fast food meat processing industry. That's an ammonium nitrate. I forget what it was, but it's in our food in some cases, and some of the side effects of that can cause skin and tissue irritation. It's qualified as a possible human carcinogen, and this is one of those cleaners that can interact with bleach to cause toxic gas. This one also can cause eye damage or blindness or skin irritation in large enough doses. Crazy stuff.
Let's be clear. Ammonia and Clorox bleach mixed together gives you chlorine gas. That's a poison used in World War II. It kills people. And they're in common products everywhere, and people mix them without thinking, not knowing.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. So, next on the list is phosphates and sulfates. Now, we're fortunate in this state and mostly on the West Coast because we have a lot of legislation that's gone in place to prevent phosphates from being used in dishwashing detergents and laundry detergents and so on. So it's less prevalent than it could be. Phosphates primarily have an environmental impact. They're not necessarily so dangerous to humans, but when they enter waterways, they cause something called cause a cyanoplankton bloom, which basically is an over-nutrification of the water, and that imbalance eventually causes the whole system to collapse and can cause total population death in a waterway or a lake or so on. The sulfate side of things is a little different. Sulfates are way more common. You'll find those in shampoos, you'll find them in various soaps. It's the agent that causes the sudsing kind of effect, the foam type effect. The problem with sulfates is that they dry and damage skin and hair. They're one of the leading causes of dandruff. So your shampoo that has a sulfate in it may actually be causing the dandruff. Some dandruff is caused by bacteria and germs, but others it can just be dry. Another problem is that one of the most common forms of sulfate that you'll find in a consumer product is a thing called sodium laureth sulfate, and that's a human carcinogen that they've now found. So apply liberally, rinse and repeat, go see your doctor. Right? Triclosan. Marlene mentioned pesticides.